Okay, AP US History. Uh, I'll tell you, this is the class that I struggle with. How am I going to record these lectures? You know, for US History 10th grade, it's a little bit easier. I'm going to do a screen share. We've got all these notes, and then they'll just have to hear my annoying voice over them. But for AP, I don't have notes. This is a college-like course. Actually, I'd argue it's tougher than most freshman level college courses. Um, So there are no notes. A lot of students take notes, but I don't have them outlined for you. You will have to, and this is part of sort of becoming a college student, you'll have to learn for your truly tough academic classes how you best process the information. Some record and take notes after they've heard it the second time. Some, and this is what I would do, would just sort of bullet point big ideas. And then when I went back, if I didn't understand any of those bullet points, that's what I knew I needed to have to study. So I wanted you to know we don't have notes in here per se, but a lot of you will probably want to take those notes. Because we don't have notes, I don't know how I'm going to be recording most of these lectures. I'm pretty uncomfortable with you staring at me, even though I guess that's what would happen in normal class, but there'd be so much, back and forth that would make a little more sense. So we're just going to kind of play our way around this one. But today we're going to record it as a Google Meet because I want to show you a few things, and then I can share, actually it's a Zoom, but then I can share screen your syllabus with you. So just a couple things today. It's the first day, and I'm actually recording this what will be for you last week, so I probably will be wearing a different shirt, but then again, I wear brown pants and blue polos or white dress shirts every day, so it might look the same. Okay. You got during orientation the American Pageant, the greatest history textbook ever written. There are three names on here: David Kennedy, Elizabeth Collins, and Thomas A. Bailey. How dare they even put him last? Thomas Bailey is the person who wrote this textbook, a Stanford professor who just had a command of American history. And Kennedy and Cohen added a few supplements in later editions. I think the edition you have is the 14th edition. So it's been around a long time. So long, in fact, that Bailey himself has been dead for decades. Now, obviously, having died decades ago, there's some modern history that he missed. Probably predicted it, but he didn't write it down in the textbook. That's how these other two got their names on here. And then to move them down to the bottom, very upsetting. I have an older edition of this textbook, and it is rough. It is falling apart. But this is where I have all my little notes and little reminders. Oh, tell them this story that you read about in this other textbook. But this is very sad. So in this particular textbook, one of my students took this one day and took a sticker that I gave them for a good essay, where they have pictures of the author. They put a sticker of a ghost over Bailey. How rude, how so rude. But this book is going to be your life. I know that a lot of you have never had to read for a history class before. This is going to be the class that changes that, because it's college-like. And like a core academic college class, I'm going to go over the stuff that I think is complicated. There's just some basic facts that I'm just going to either skim over or skip entirely. But if it's in your reading, you're expected to know it. And that's why the tests are going to seem so incredibly difficult. And I don't write the test. These tests are generated from banks of hundreds and hundreds of questions for every unit from these three authors. Bailey also was one of the original authors of the AP exam. So there's going to be a correlation in the difficulty. And that's good. That'll help you prepare for this class. So tonight, actually, I think you check the Google stream. That's where everything's up to date. I think I will have by Friday read pages 1 through 16. Typical reading assignment will probably be 9 to 12 pages, but you'll actually have to read it intently. And I mean, you'll discover that after you do not do well on a pop quiz or a test, but we'll get to that. Basic format for the class is that it's college-esque. And what I mean by college-esque is that I've got a certain amount I need to get through. I don't know how long my videos will be. I imagine they'll be shorter than they would be live lectures, because my lectures are designed to elicit questions from you. And in this format, that's going to be tougher. So we're going to have to sort of artificially set aside those questions, particularly the controversial questions. Hey, what do you think this is fair? Do you think that's fair? And you're going to disagree, and that's good. But we're going to have to sort of artificially set those aside for our live sessions. That being said, I just go through the material I need to go through. If I run out of time in a regular class, then like college, I say, oh, I didn't get to this page. So read that on your own, because we have a schedule we are going to meet. And just us postponing school, which made sense, threw us off on our schedule. We're hopeful that the AP College Board is going to have some mercy on us. Otherwise, we're already a week and a half behind. But I think a lot of schools are. And I think a lot of schools don't have as good of a plan about how to keep you up to date. So I'm going to, thankfully for you, stop being center screen and do a screen share so we can look at your syllabus, which hopefully is linked here as well. Now, this is one of the growing pains we're going to have to do. How do I screen share in Zoom? Yep. Some of you are talking to yourself right now going, oh, well, dummy, you do this. Ah, hey, dummy, you do this. Okay, so share screen. Let's take a peek. Oh no, where's the page that I want to share? No. Sorry, absolute pause. There we go. Let's share this page. Okay, so, sorry, I mean, I'm not gonna lie and pretend I know exactly what I'm doing about all of this either. I know my history pretty well. My Zoom, I'm working on. I just found out you can do little groups on the side, little breakout groups. Oh, I'm so excited about this. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at your syllabus, which I can't seem to move. How handy. Okay, so really, is this how it's going to go? The intro is what it is. It's advanced placement. We're designed to meet for about 50 minutes. We are going to cover quite a bit of material, and of course, it has to be organized. This is actually the syllabus, not only for you, something I had to turn in as part of my certification as an advanced placement teacher to the College Board. And trust me, they're very strict, and you really have to go through quite a bit to have it approved. But we have unit themes, and it just goes over some examples of themes. This isn't anything I would be too worried about. Supplemental learning aids. We have several supplemental textbooks that we use to, supplement, obviously, the Bailey textbook. Some were provided by Bailey, others are not. I won't get into, you won't have to worry about copies of those textbooks, and due to copyright laws, I won't really get into how you get access to some of these articles, but I'll make sure it happens. And a lot of times it's just stories that I've read that really sort of highlight some of these ideas. And we'll use graphic organizers, and we'll use maps. Yeah, that's all. You're not worried about that. Here's what you're worried about. Let's get into grading. First thing I want to say about grading, and we're talking right here in this section, is that grading is not a perfect science. I don't pretend that it is, but I do attempt to keep personal feelings out of grading as much as I possibly humanly can. I probably can't do it as much as even I'd like to, because no one's perfect, but I do make a strong effort to do the following. I grade you based on the rubrics and the grades that you earn. I don't grade your essays, for example, on a feeling. I have strict rubrics that I follow. I don't think it's fair that a student ever be judged on how much a teacher gets along with that student. I want to make it real clear. I've given A's. No, I don't even want to say given. Students have earned A's in my class who absolutely drove me bonkers. And students have earned C's and D's who I absolutely just, rooted for openly. And really, I'm rooting for all of you, but you know what I mean. I got along with them easier. That's not what grades are. Grades don't measure how well you get along with your teacher. They measure how well you achieve the material. Because of that, I am grading very strictly in that If you have at the end of the quarter an 89.4, you have a B. Now, in reality, the semester average can easily make it an A, and it's your semester average that matters for your GPA. But the whole reason I do that, you go, why are you so mean? Why would you give an 89.4 a B? Well, let's say I know, I don't know how many, I'll just stick with first names. I know Elizabeth. I had her in class. She was very pleasant. And so I had Elizabeth in class, and she's very nice. And let's say she earns an 89.4. Elizabeth comes in, and she then, you know, explains to me this thing that happened and that thing that happened. And she's just such a nice person and such a good kid. There's a temptation for me to go, okay, well, we'll squeak it out 1 point. But then there's some other kid who maybe drives me absolutely bonkers. And it's just human nature. They start telling me all of their list of reasons, and you just sort of shut down and you go, I'm sorry. No. Well, Elizabeth doesn't get to have an A because she's really nice. She's probably going to earn an A. Hopefully all of you earn A's because you're really smart and you work hard. But I have to be strict with the numbers and give whatever the numbers say, because that's the only fair thing to do. Otherwise, there's too much subjectivity. But again, it's semester. A side note on these grades too. This is probably, it may not challenge some of you, but traditionally speaking, this in AP Physics 2, not the first one, I think the second one, maybe it's B, I don't know. These are some of the only classes that are truly going to test some of you academically. Now listen, there's always exceptions. I was pretty good in school, but for whatever reason, like regular old Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 just beat me up. So I know that there are exceptions, but for the higher performing students at the very top of the class, you probably haven't been challenged yet. And AP US History is one of those 2 or 3 classes that probably will. So knowing that, the grade is weighted. So if you earn a B, you actually have an A. Now some of you are wired such that you want to earn an A more than anything, so you can get that 5-point A, so you can end up with like a 4-point and then something higher than a 4-point, which blows my mind. Listen, I understand that. That's good for you to be driven and have goals, but I do want to throw this out there. You are not your grades. You are measured by your grades, and your grades reflect your work ethic and your command of a topic. But you are not your grades. I worry about some of you who may earn a C, which is a B, and that somehow you will think you're less of a person or a student. That's insane. I just want you to know, I firmly believe, and I don't believe, I know that you are more than your grades. Now that sometimes is hardest for those of you who've been earning A's the whole time to believe, but I want you to work hard and know that it measures your work ethic, but not hang your hat on that as your identity. Because I know that I, in college, learned more from some of the classes I earned B's in than I earned A's in. And I know that in my lifetime, I've had mostly A's in my classes. But I also had some C minuses in Spanish. So I'm not a C minus student because I had that in one particularly, for me, tough class. I just don't want you to get hung up on that. This class is tough. And if you get a C or higher, I'm going to defend you to your parents. I'm going to defend you and say, man, this class is a challenge, and better that your student have that challenge and prove to themselves that they can rise up to that challenge while it's free, as opposed to paying thousands of dollars. Over my shoulder is one great flag, one okay flag, and one horrible flag. BG, great. OU, mediocre. And then that ugly yellow flag is University of Toledo. But it does bring up a good point. My son, who is a freshman in college, is currently paying $23,000 to find out if he can cut it. He did take a few AP classes, but they weren't quite the challenge that I had hoped they would be. And he avoided AP US History. You don't want to be paying $23,000 a year to find out, can I make it? Am I cut out for this? Because it's just, trust me, it's easier in life to find out earlier. So soapbox over, but that's how I grade. Now, one of the things that I think a lot of you will appreciate is that we definitely have a set pattern, uh, a set policy, and set format of how we do our grades. And it'll seem confusing at first, but once you get into this pattern, you'll realize, okay, we do weird different things in class all the time, but there's a method to the madness. Every unit kind of looks the same. And we might have already talked about this, but we're going to get assigned your essay at the beginning of the unit. There'll be a pop quiz somewhere in the unit, and there'll be a test at the end of the unit, unless, like this unit, it's a take-home test. And it just gets repeated and repeated and repeated. Now, when I originally organized and devised this class, and now we're finally to the points here, I really struggled with, well, weighting grades. Some teachers will say, oh, I want this to be this percentage of the grade. And I just think that gets complicated. I wanted it to be easier for you to understand. So here's what we did. Every unit, you will have 100 points. That allows me then to make the percentage that I want based on writing, and the percentage based on test grades, and the percentage I want based on pop quizzes pretty easy to manipulate by simply setting the number of points for the test, essay, etc. 99% of the time, you are going to have in each unit a 65-point test. They're all multiple choice. There's no short answer. There's no extended response. It's just like the AP exam. Set number. As a matter of fact, it's timed out. They're designed to be one class period. And if you break that down to the number of questions you can do per minute, then what you'll find out is that's the exact same number of questions you need to be able to do per minute on the AP exam. But it's just 65 multiple choice questions. Some of them are multiple answer multiple choice. We'll get into that later, but basically it'll say, hey, for these last 8, you'll have to pick 2 or more answers. And so if the answer is AC, you have to have AC. If the answer is ADE, you have to have ADE. The overwhelming majority are going to be A or B or C, etc. Then every unit, you'll have a 30-point essay. So the 30-point essay, so meaning writing's worth 30% of your grade, is for a lot of you the most challenging part. Now, I will say, though, in the last few years in particular, I feel like we've gotten our students better writers. Some of my students have hung their hat on writing, have struggled on the test, and writing held them up. But these come in different formats. There's just a standard essay. There's a prompt, and this essay is worth 30 points. And average unit lasts about 8 days, so that's about how long you're going to have to complete that essay. Then there's a DBQ. It's also worth 30 points. That's a very unique style essay. We're not going to worry about that yet. I'm easing you into this. This is my job, is not overwhelm you with everything. You'll have an essay every unit. 5 units from now, one of them will be a DBQ, so you'll slowly learn how to do them. And you'll start off with an easy DBQ, and then a little tougher, and we'll go on from there. Short answer questions. We'll do those probably 3 times, and one of them will be this unit. I'll assign that to you for this unit. A little bit easier format, a little bit more like what you would think. But instead of having like short answer questions on a test, that's the essay that you'll have this time to do independently. Occasionally, like I think twice, maybe all year, I'll literally just give you 30 terms and say you have to use citations, but you must define these 30 terms. That's pretty straightforward, kind of monotonous, but easy. And then I guess I could put my phone on silent. That seems nice. Oh, and it's the UT kid. Okay. Anyway, and then your last 5 points would be a 5-point quiz. It's only worth 5% of your grade. It's designed to make sure you actually keep reading your assigned reading. And you have a huge advantage in that because we're only going to be live 2 days a week, your pop quiz will take place one of those 2 days. And I will send you a Google link to a form. The form doesn't have any questions on it. I will read the questions out loud to you, and you'll have just a few seconds to answer these questions, to type in the answers to these questions. That's my modern way to do this. Late policy. This is pretty big. Whether this is almost exclusively for essays. The one exception would be a take-home test, because otherwise a test just happens in class. It is 11% off per day late. In other words, devastating. And if your 11% add up to, more than you can earn. I mean, there's a point where you just go, oh, I'm at 55% off. I think there's too good of a chance I lose 20% of my points because it's hard to write these essays. So you get them turned in. Read the details there. I know it sounds mean. It doesn't. It's just so that we have standards. I don't want to hear about all the different excuses. Work that into your time. Things happen, though. I know that. I'm pretty good about meeting deadlines, but I've made mistakes too, and then you accept the penalty for it. It's not the end of the world, but you definitely want to get stuff in. Last big thing here, 9-point scale for the essays. This is a little confusing, but when I go over a rubric of an essay in class, I'm going to tell you that here are the 9 things we are looking for. And the reason it's 9, I didn't make this up out of nowhere. It's because the AP examiners do this. It's a 9-point grading system. So in AP, they can say, oh, you got a 7, and then that factors into their overall score. I have to then convert that to something that makes sense in our grade book. So I will give you a grade of 1 through 9 on an AP exam, or excuse me, an AP essay, based on the 9 points that I usually go over at the beginning of class and say, how well did you cover this point? How well, it's not going to speaker. How well did you cover this point? How well did you cover this point? And let's say you get a 7. You don't get 7 out of 30. You get 7 out of 9, and I convert that. And I convert that by multiplying 3 and adding 3. It's a long story. You get the point, though. So you'll see here, so if you're in a 7, at the top I'll put 7, and then I'll put 24 out of 30. That's actually a really good writing score, which is going to be hard for you guys to wrap your heads around. But this will become more and more intuitive to you. I'm not worried about it. Academic dishonesty. I don't mean this mean either. I'm strict. If I think you're cheating, I'm coming after you. I don't mean that to sound as evil as that sounds. This doesn't do us any good if you're academically dishonest. It just doesn't. You're not going to be learning anything. Citations are key. If you're citing other people's stuff, then you're going to be fine. It's the passing off of work that you think is yours. I have 2 times in 20 years had to bust people for cheating. I don't really want to get into how you get caught cheating on a test. There are some things that don't seem obvious to you, but are real obvious to teachers with any sort of experience. And when those things happen, I'm willing to go after you because I need you to be challenged. And you'll say, no, this just happened to happen this way. And I'll bring in Mrs. Franklin and the statistics behind it and say, well, actually, there's literally a 1 in 3 million chance that X, Y, and Z happen. And yeah, that usually doesn't go too well for you. So just don't put us in that position. Do your best. That's all we're trying to get out of you and want your grade to reflect. Listen, I'm here every morning by 7 a.m. This is, this was written pre-pandemic, but it still means that I can get a hold of you that time as well. You want to set something up, I'll use *67 and call you from my personal phone anytime during the school day, and we'll just talk. I could set up a Zoom link just for you. Whatever we need to do. I'm going to be able to communicate with you. I'm here for you. Don't let this get out, but I actually kind of care, but don't spread the word. So I want to be there for you. I want you to fall in love with history at the end of this class, hopefully before the end. Okay, the rest of the rubric actually is just handy for you. It will tell you things like, oh, here's what we're doing in Unit 1. Here are the special activities, or here are the major concepts. And it goes through every single unit we're going to cover all year. And some people have used this as a study guide. Some people have put this away and never looked at it again. I don't really judge that. As long as you're having success in the class, I don't really care whether you use it or not. The point is that you have it. So, sorry this ran long. Hopefully the meet session that we had worked out well, and I'm looking forward to this class. It's just going to be a little unique given AP. But you know what? I've got faith that you are going to be the students who are going to work the hardest to make sure it works on your end as well too. So everybody have a great day, and remember, should be in your Google Stream, the to-do, read pages 1 through 16 by Friday. Tomorrow you're getting, I think it's tomorrow, you're getting a SLO, basically, a pre-assessment. And then we've got all kinds of things to do on Thursday. So the reading, I'd at least start it, okay? So hope everybody has a great day. And you're done looking at me, thank goodness.